please take your seats. We will be starting shortly. While everyone just grabs their seats, I just wanted to say a big hello. My name is Lisa Tay. I was lucky enough to speak to some of you before the start of today's event, but if you see me wandering around, please feel free to say hello. I've flown in from Melbourne and I am so excited to be here, honoured to be here. It's going to be such a great event. So we're here to celebrate the launch of the new ZBook Ultra G1a. I was telling the team I was practicing saying that in front of the mirror last night. It's a little bit of a mantra, so I get the name right. But it's going to be a jam-packed day, and I just really appreciate all of you giving up your mornings to be here. You have to forgive me because I felt like my legs were a bit shaky walking up the stairs because I was on the F1 simulator before, and it feels so realistic. I don't know if there's any F1 fans in the house, but make sure you try that out. I just got onto Drive to Survive and I'm obsessed. And I must say thank you to Thomas from HP because I drove straight into a fence when I first started and he saved me because I couldn't reverse the car. So I definitely will not be giving up my day job and being a Formula 1 racer. So that's a bit sad, but it's the stark reality of being a terrible driver. But I'm very, very excited for today's event. I'm really obsessed with all things AI. It's so exciting to see a company like HP really embrace it and help people like yourselves and everyone out there in the workforce really harness the power of it, because I think a lot of people are scared of AI and the technology, but we should be really excited about it because it's going to really enhance the way we work, we collaborate, we create. So I'm excited that there's an incredible lineup of people, definitely way smarter than myself and technically way smarter than myself, here today to be telling you all about the future of work, how HP will be playing a part of that, and also how AI will be playing a part of that. So to kick things off, I want to bring to the stage the incredible Brad Pulford, who is the MD of HP ANZ, and he's going to be telling us all about what HP are doing in the space, and also he's going to be officially introducing the new the new ZBook Ultra. So welcome, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa, and I have to say that walking up onto the stage, my legs are also a bit shaky. I'm not sure that's the simulator, to be honest, but that's one of the things we've got to get used to. A very, very good morning to everybody. My name is Brad Pulford. I'm the MD for Australia and New Zealand, and truly excited to be with all of you this morning. What a great opportunity it is for us to come together and really talk about an exciting part of the industry. I do want to just extend a very big welcome. Firstly, we have some media with us this morning, so thank you for joining us, thank you for taking the time, and certainly to our customers where we continue to innovate together. Really appreciate you giving up some of your time to spend with us and really unpack what it means from a launch point of view and how this is going to transform our business in the future. And of course, our fantastic partners, AMD, for making this possible, for being on the journey with us. And so good to be able to innovate together and bring some of these elements to life in the workforce, which we know is becoming incredibly important. And so very pleased to be part of the Australian leg, and I did a bit of practicing as well, Lisa, by the way. Is it ZBook, is it ZBook? It's amazing when you do that survey, the kind of responses we get, but a very big welcome to the Australian leg of the ZBook G1a launch, packed with innovation, built for performance, sleek in design, but these are not the features essentially that we should be talking about. The real value comes from how we differentiate with our customers to drive productivity outcomes and gains within their respective environment, to help them really innovate faster, to make a meaningful difference in terms of the experiences that they have, that they are trying to transform around their respective organizations. And so the other thing I would just say is that when we look at the innovation from an HP point of view, everything from a product-centric point of view is being built from the ground up with AI in mind. And so why is that important? It's important because when we think about what it means in the workplace, it's all about personalization, it's all about productivity gains, and it's about being meaningful for employees in the future. Based on the world we live in today, it's incredibly important that we have a motivated and connected workforce to drive forward some of those initiatives from a cultural point of view in the workplace as well. And so I was very fortunate. I just returned from Nashville, where we had our Amplified Partner Conference. We had a combination of partners, retailers, as well as customers, which was fantastic. And we really emphasized a couple of things that we're driving forward from an HP point of view. The first thing is the meaning and the purpose around the future of work. The second thing is what we're doing around the work relationship index. This becomes very important when we start to unpack and understand what it is from an AI perspective. That becomes truly meaningful. And then we are living in a connected workforce today. And so what does that mean? We know that there are certain nuances that are happening around technology. For example, edge is becoming critical in terms of how we define productivity, speed, performance. We know the gains and the changes that are happening in this space, with everything being able to be achieved locally on a device, whether that is latency gains, whether that is security at the edge that becomes critical, or whether it's a mere cost of scale discussion that we're having to make this more meaningful within organizations as well. So the future of work for HP, it's all about driving productivity and personalization to differentiate the experiences that we can take to customers in order for it to be meaningful and to drive the productivity gains for our customers and our partners. This becomes critical in terms of our approach, and that is living in a connected world. Everything at the edge, whether it is PC, whether it's print, whether it's collaboration, or anything in between, security or services, these are areas that become incredibly important for us. So just, I guess, pivoting more specifically around what we call the work relationship index and why this is important. Well, 28% of knowledge workers today are saying that, only 28% of knowledge workers today say that they have a healthy relationship with work. And that's pretty astounding when you think about that in context around how people are feeling within the workforce. That's only a 1% gain year over year. And again, so you think about the progress we're making with all the sensationalism coming out of 2024, only a 1% gain in terms of how people are feeling in a hybrid, disconnected world. There's a huge amount of progress that we need to continue to make. And out of the 12 countries that were surveyed, and that includes within our region, Japan, Australia, and Indonesia, most certainly geographically, we had the same nuances that showed up. Now, we used AI tools to make sure that we could dig in a little deeper into what this meant and what was driving this kind of behavior. And there were three things that really showed up very specifically. The first one was professional fulfillment within the workplace. How are people feeling and how meaningful is what they're doing? Allowing them to be productive within the workplace was the first point. The second point is, can I achieve my personal growth within the work environment? And the third thing is, does my leader support me and my goals for me to be successful in the organization? Those were the three things that were really called out. But when you unpack that even further, it was professional fulfillment that kept showing up as, I guess, the common denominator that we need to continue to drive. And so we thought we'd get into a little bit more detail around what this meant. And there were a few things that started to unleash themselves in terms of what that means in the workplace, right? The first thing that showed up very specifically was, how do we continue to drive our jobs with meaning and purpose? Like, I want to really feel like I'm adding value within the organization. The second thing was around community. And what does that mean? Well, essentially, when you're working remotely, you still want to feel like you have the opportunity to collaborate, that you're connected with your colleagues, and that is meaningful and very seamless in terms of engagement. People want to grow, they want to develop in the organization. So growth is the third one. And then competency. How do people continue to feel like they're gaining knowledge, that they're growing and developing in the organization was the fourth one. And then autonomy. Now, autonomy is not about work-life balance. How much time do I spend at the office or at home, or how much time do I spend working or with family or doing alternate things. It's more about finding the passion and the purpose for that to be relevant when you are working, and being able to be connected throughout that journey, whether you're in the office or not in the office, was more the point around. And so when you continue to think about what that means for all of us, there are a few things that start to show up, and I won't go through all of these. Technology continues to move up the stack in terms of its relevance and its importance in order to drive productivity gains and experiences within organizations. And so we have to ensure that as we think about AI and the impact of AI, that we have this as a consideration in everything we do, and at HP it starts with innovation from the ground up. And so with that in mind, 73% of knowledge workers agree that AI is going to make their jobs easier. It's going to help them transform their experience. It's going to help them in terms of being more productive within the work environment. 24%, only 24% today believe that it's going to have some form of negative impact, where possibly it'll change roles or have some human impact. 72% believe that having the right tools to be successful in the workplace is incredibly important. And so this is really an inflection point for us, because only 23% are pretty much telling us that, well, their organizations don't have the tools to perform their functions productively and meaningfully in the workplace. And so then we start thinking about the essence of the future of work, why that's important, and why we focused at the edge to really drive the kind of behavior and experiences in a connected way at the edge for all of our customers and our partners, so that we can drive meaningful change. Now, if we bring that, I guess, more home, we seem to be lagging slightly from an Australian context point of view, where roughly 50% of organizations are tinkering with the idea of AI, either through a pilot program that they have or through adopting certain AI tools within the organization, whereas Japan is at 82%. So, a little bit different in terms of where we see the adoption rates here geographically. And the other point I would just make is that, it's incredibly important that what we're seeing is that AI is being adopted in the workplace first, and then it's being pushed down to the consumer-centric kind of world, which is very unique based on the adoption rates from previous technology inflection points. And so we are at an intersection of what this means in terms of how we work, and how we play, and that becomes critical in terms of how we define a way forward from an HP point of view. And so how do we lead in these times? Well, at HP, we believe that the future of work does not prejudice in any way professional fulfillment or productivity. Right? It's an intersection that includes both. And we do that through innovation like the ZBook G1a, where we allow people to have the right tools to be meaningful, to be intentional, be able to be connected and be productive in the work environment, obviously driving great experiences. And in order to do that, you need the right tools. Because with the right tools, work doesn't really feel like work. And that's whether you're playing on a simulator or shaking eggs, whether you're crunching numbers in terms of data, whether you're working on a normal ad hoc kind of basis, or whether you're just trying to be hybrid in nature. All of those elements become critical. And so, with that, I love this quote from Charles Leclerc, as you know, we're the Thomas Feinstel and Ferrari team. And he says, it's like time slows down and it's just me and the job. And I love to do. And that's really about having the performance, the technology, and all the tools to be able to have an experience that allows you to slow down, but be very meaningful, intentional, and productive in the work that you do. And so with that, thank you again for taking the time and for all of your commitment to be here today. We really certainly appreciate it. And to Lisa's point earlier, we have a jam-packed agenda with a lot of more technical kind of updates as well as narratives to share with you. So thank you very much.
AI experiences will transform the way we create, connect, and do the work we dream of doing, changing how students study, how teams sell, how freelancers flourish. This is HP technology, the kind we need to outcompute and outcompete. We are making AI real, meaningful, and mainstream. We're putting AI into everyone's hands with the launch of an unprecedented number of AI-powered solutions, the best tools for work that make computing more personal, unlock new skills and capabilities, ready for the Windows refresh, and wrapped in the world's most secure platform for running AI. All so more people can work, create, and play the way they want. This is the power of One HP. Because when technology works for you, work doesn't have to feel like work.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Aman Sanger. I'm one of the category managers here at HP, and I would like to extend my warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for choosing to spend time today with us this beautiful day, and this morning, and perhaps in the afternoon as well. And thanks, Brad, for sharing that amazing, inspiring vision of what the future of work holds. And it's products like the ZBook Ultra that essentially make that vision come to life. And so fundamentally, that's why we believe that it's products that when we look at that really challenge the paradigms within which we operate. The paradigm of what work is and what work should be. So let's start first talking about what on earth are these paradigms that we're dealing with, right? So paradigm is essentially the lens through which we frame the world around us, right? It's an indispensable tool set for us to make sense of reality as of how it operates. But indispensable and critical it may be, there oftentimes comes a moment where change is so seismic that it collides with that very fixed tool and demands a shift in that paradigm. That's the paradigm shift that we are encountering today, and that's what we like to talk about. It was the peak of the first industrial revolution when the first internal combustion engine was invented, right? The paradigm in which it was born was where factories were out there, mechanization, industrialization was the talk of the town, and within that world, the market was going giddy with possibilities of what this four-stroke engine could do to manufacturing, to factories, how it could be deployed in a lot of different ways. Factories that supported some of the biggest industries at that time, the textile industry. But you know what was bigger than that? What was a 5,000-year-old industry that was running for so long that they were going to deploy the first internal combustion engine for? Was the industry of the horse-drawn carriages, right? The horse-drawn carriages, their suspensions, the upholstery, the saddle, even the horseshoes. Imagine that. Imagine the irony of how fascinating it is that the internal combustion engine, the first vision the people had was how we can use it to make the horse-drawn carriages go faster rather than to replace it. Because that was the paradigm in which it was born. And then it took a man in Springwells, Michigan, by the last name Ford, who challenged that 5,000-year-old paradigm and invented the first automobile. And the rest is, is history. The grainy image on the left is 1900s Fifth Avenue on Easter Sunday. The red dot on that is the only automobile in that sea of horse-drawn carriages. The other image that you've got over here on your right, that's also off Fifth Avenue, just a few years apart. That's also on Easter Sunday. The red dot that you see there is the only horse-drawn carriage. That sparked a revolution of the second industrial revolution to come. And all it took was an invention paired with a shift in paradigm. And that's what we're talking about. Because what they did was they challenged the very definition of what urban transportation means. So, what does it mean to be a workstation? That's where we start from, right? We're launching a mobile workstation. What does it mean? It's essentially a device whose very credentials lie upon the grunt under the hood, performance. Not just on the CPU, but also on the dedicated GPU, right? That's what this device is all about. This is a device where size, weight, aesthetics become second. The truth be told, actually the beefier and chunkier the device, the more confidence it gives us in the performance it can deliver. This is not the device you're jet setting along with, tying around this weighty device. No, its designated place is connected to your monitor on your desk. But what if? What if we could design a device from the ground level up? Optimized not just for performance, but also aesthetics. Crafted in this really slender chassis, right? Engineered with cutting edge tech because it's powered with this breakthrough new technology, silicon, that is now integrated architecture. It's got CPU, GPU, and NPU all on the same chipset with performance that is second to none. And that new paradigm is the ZBook Ultra. ZBook Ultra, I mean, this is a device that's ultra on power and performance, and that's thanks to this brand new tech from AMD. The AMD Ryzen AI Max Pro really unlocks performance that you've never seen before. Up to 50 TOPS just on the NPU, 125 TOPS across the entire silicon. This new architecture is a marvel to behold, and Pete Chambers from AMD will be coming up later, taking you through the ins and outs of that very technology. What we've done from our end is optimize the device to maximize the possibility that that silicon offers to us. Key example is the new hinge that we built. Easy in the eye, but also allows for optimal thermal ventilation and ensuring that that vision to have that slender chassis remains true. This is a device that's all about what are the AI workflows that unlock for you, but it's also about how AI can be used for you on your existing workflows. Key point there is the new IR camera, the 5 megapixel IR camera that now comes with what we refer to as image sensor processor. It's essentially an AI-built camera that taps into the power and compute of AI for image presence sensing. Lots of workflows that get unlocked by that, and I'll take you through some of those examples, some really revolutionary ways of how this device can change how we operate, where we operate, and the security it offers to all of us. This is a device that's truly oozing with a lot of innovation, both from a hardware and silicon perspective. And what it does in an unprecedented way is delivers all of that in a truly compact and mobile footprint that has never ever been possible before. All in that beautiful, slender chassis. This is something that we're really excited to bring to a lot of different industries across the various different fronts that are out there. It's an ISV certified device because we know the vision, the pain points, the challenges, the dreams of the various ISVs that are out there. The new workflows that it unlocks across a lot of these different industries, starting with architecture, engineering and construction, the ability to do CAD drawings and product planning and urban planning on sites, taking to the customers, is something that they've only dreamt of. With product development and manufacturing, where one of the biggest friction points is taking the idea from your head down to a device and letting you flow through that and not having the writer's block or the creator's block out there so that you can do 3D design and rendering on the fly, on the site. Media and entertainment, 24/7, speed and agility are critical for this industry. And to do all of that on the fly in real time, whether it's VFX or rendering or what have you, all of that gets truly unlocked in a different way that has never been possible before. The workflows that it unlocks are also remarkable, and these are consistent across the various different industries. Doesn't matter which ones you're operating under. LLMs are the talk of the town, right? But one of the conversations that come with LLMs is always about privacy. And these large language models are truly large. The parameters that we're talking about start from 30, 40, 50 parameters, billion parameters, going up to 100 billion parameters. The average device today cannot handle more than 7 billion parameters, but not so with the ZBook Plus Ultra device that can now handle parameters that allow you to run these large language models onto your devices, tap into that superpower without the risk or threat of any privacy leaving your endpoints. The same holds true with GenAI content creation, allowing you to keep and retain the privacy of these documents and of these ideas that you've been working hard on. And all the while doing that on the go, with productivity, with ideas, with your creations traveling along with you so that you can truly unlock potentials that were not possible before. What it does is also looks at a lot of different scenarios that were not possible before or really took a lot of time. I'll give you an example right now. Was working on a launch recently, wanted to understand one particular feature set of the device, and wanted to compare it with two other devices that I had. Each document was around about 50 to 70 pages long. So we're talking about a total of 150 pages of documents to consider. Would have taken a long time to do that. We now ship the AI companion app preloaded with the ZBook Ultra. What it does is essentially gives you a hybrid between Copilot and ChatGPT plus a lot more. So all I can do is make accessible to this app these 3 confidential documents that I've got and simply query it, ask it questions, and get responses in real time, unlocking productivity that we've never seen before. Not only can it do that from a perspective of just pulling out raw data, but it can also allow you to query it to make comparisons, give predictions, and align data from one data set to another data set, all on the fly, all on your fingertips. What it also does is allows you to tweak the performance of the device. Those of us who are in the technology industry know that because we are in the tech industry, we are the tech support for our family, for our friends, our neighbors, and their dogs, right? Can you just turn it on and off again? All of that, so many times. But now with the AI Companion app, you can simply talk to your device, turn on the dark mode, and turn it on for you. Hibernate mode, it's done. Change the brightness of the settings, done. You can even configure the kind of settings that you want to have with regards to updates and when and how frequently do you want to run them. All on your fingertips. All with AI working for you rather than the other way around. Hybrid is passé, right? We're no longer talking about whether it's hybrid or not. Now it's talking about the digital equity in hybrid to ensure that everybody's got a seat on the table. One of the questions that we still get, we start every meeting with, or almost every meeting. Can you hear me? Can you turn on the camera? Is it working? It's not all the time user error, a lot of time it is. But it's because of the fact that in this hybrid world, we are using multiple devices. Our research shows that we connect and touch around 8 to 10 devices in any given workflow. Think of your scenarios, the amount of cameras that you use on your PC, on your monitor, in your office. And every time you're switching that around, all the settings go haywire. With the Poly Camera Pro, number one, you've got the fidelity to control how you look, how you appear, and give you the confidence to sit across the camera authentically and not worry about all of the other details because you spent 15-20 minutes tweaking that, every single aspect and nuance with regards to the background, blur, the color, the hue, the scenes and the watermarks. But the beauty about it is you set it and forget it because then it overlays that intelligently across your various different video apps, whether it's Teams or Zoom or Google Meet. It just simply works for you. Like I said, technology and AI working for you rather than the other way around. And that's the new paradigm we are in. But we need to recognize within this paradigm, there are also new aspects that we now need to consider. One of them is security. Ever evolving, but always a non-negotiable. And that's where HP really stands out, head and shoulders, within the industry, setting the gold standard with Wolf security. And we've been doing that for quite a long time. But do you know what's the number one risk for security that we've got? It's sitting over here. It's all of us. 97% of security breaches target the human error. Why? Because 70% of them actually happen at the endpoint itself. And that's what we need to now safeguard. It's about using the intelligence and the tech and the AI to ensure that it can override some of those human errors and help us in that. The threat vectors remain more or less the same, right? We've been doing this for quite some time with regards to firmware attacks, phishing and ransomware, whether it's HP's show click or show start, they are the absolute gold standard, providing security above the OS, under the OS, and through the OS, having an inbuilt enterprise security control chip on the device itself, so that you have access to your device and you have control irrespective of the software. That's something we've been doing for quite some time. But when you take the workstation that was typically on your desk, now all of a sudden you're walking around with it to clients and sites and meetings, it opens up different threat vectors. One of them is visual hacking. The amount of times you've all sat down in a cafe or in a meeting room or at a reception or an event like this and open up a device and did some work, right? And you never think about it twice. What's the big deal? But think about that one contract or tender you've been working on, where that dollar amount is so critical. How long does it take for somebody to glance on that and get that information and your security is breached? Or the name of the customer that you've been trying to pitch for. It takes literally seconds for them to get that information. We've had SureView 5 on our devices for quite some time, but it takes a human to turn that button on. That essentially blurs it out to everybody else except you sitting in front of it. But now, remember I was talking about that image signal processor that is on the device? It now detects whether or not it's you who's looking at the device or somebody peering into the device over your shoulders, and gives you an alert. You can set up to automatically turn on the blur or give you a notification. The choice is yours. But here is a perfect example of this new world that we're living in and AI adapting to it and our workflows so that it keeps you safe. The amount of times when we're walking around and our heart stops because where's my mobile? Did I leave it there? Is it gone? I mean, that happens a lot. That happens with devices as well. They don't just get misplaced, they get stolen, they get lost. How do we track that out? What about scenarios where the device is now completely out of battery or somebody's turned it off? We got the ability to be able to track the device, protect your data, pull it back, or just completely do a clean swipe, thanks to the HP Wolf security that is inbuilt in each and every one of the devices. Just to give you and make sure that you have the complete peace of mind. Not just you, but your ITDMs. Because that's the number one fear in this new world that we live in, is essentially security. How do we keep our devices secure? And finally, just wanted to quickly talk about something that is so close to our heart at HP. Sustainability. It's not something that we do, it's essentially who we are. It's part and parcel of our DNA. As how we look at our devices from cradle to grave. How do we source the products? How do we build that into the devices, including the packaging? And how do we think and plan a vision out of what happens to the devices at the end of its life cycle? But what I'm truly always amazed and impressed with is the amount of R&D that our team is putting in constantly, figuring out new and innovative ways of how to source different kind of material out there, rubbish that is out there, or kind of different content that is polluting the world, and using new technology, innovative ways to bring that into our product itself. So whether it's PCR in our devices, this recycled plastic, but also ensuring that 30% of that comes from ocean-bound plastics. We've recently figured out how to reuse copper into our heat plates, and so 50% of that comes now from recycled copper. Or this one's really interesting, recycled cooking oil. 20% of our bezels on the ZBook Ultra comes from recycled cooking oil. Truly remarkable of what's going on, but this is a journey that we are in, along with you guys, that's critical not just for our today, but even more critical for tomorrow. Finally, to wrap it up, guys, just want to reiterate once again with the ZBook Ultra. This is a device that's ultra thin, ultra mobile, packed with this amazing new silicon that unlocks potential that's never been seen before, new AI workflows that have never been possible before, all for a new paradigm of this future of work that gets unlocked thanks to the ZBook Ultra. Hope you have a great day, and thank you for spending your time today with us.
Thank you so much, Iman. That was fantastic. I feel like the key phrase I'll be taking from your talk was, I wrote down slender chassis, which is a great way of describing the ZBook Ultra. I think I'm probably going to show my age here, but it's interesting to think back to when I was first using computers, and obviously it was, for those of you in the room who might have used desktop computers, they were really bulky. I feel like they took up the whole desk. So I feel like something like the ZBook Ultra is fantastic because it's the power of a desktop in a laptop, which is great. So big thank you to Brad as well. I've written down so many notes. Make sure actually, I think you've got notebooks and pens on your seat, so make sure you use them. And thank you to Annie who pointed out the pen is erasable. So I feel like there's just tech at every touch point here, which is exciting. But Brad had some interesting points around, I'm just going to read out the stats. So 73% of knowledge workers agree it will make, that AI will make their jobs easier, but only 23% say that their company currently provides the tech that they need. I found that point actually quite interesting because I feel like pretty much most of us, and I'm guessing pretty much everyone in this room is using AI, but I never really stopped to think about whether my hardware was keeping up with the changes in the software and the technology. And I was literally sitting in my hotel room last night procrastinating on work that I definitely should have been doing instead, and I was using my HP laptop, a little shameless plug there, and I created a digital avatar for myself in under 30 minutes. Just, I've never done it before, just on my laptop, and it's like incredible. And I posted on LinkedIn this morning, and you literally can't tell that it's not my normal video content. And I did that just on my laptop, stuffing around when I should have been working. But I just think the power now that is in these devices that I just literally took on a plane and brought over here, like, it's incredible. So it's great to see that there's, this hardware is actually going to be able to actually power us to do incredible things. So next up, I would like to introduce to the stage Pete Chambers, who is the Managing Director of Sales for Asia Pacific, AMD. Now, Pete will be talking about the AMD partnership, and this is a direct quote: "What makes the silicon architecture so bloody good?" And I feel like I had to keep that in there because I was in the briefing notes. I'm like, that is the perfect way of describing it. So welcome to the stage, Pete. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here, echoing Marn and Brad. It's wonderful to see you all and given the opportunity to share a little bit about how AMD is contributing to this and how the partnership, frankly, with HP is going. So first of all, a little thing about AMD, and the main reason I'm using this slide is that we're actually celebrating 25 years of our Australian subsidiary in a couple of months. So whilst the company's been around for almost 56 years, we celebrate that in May. It's great that we've had that local presence now for 25 years, and we've seen the team grow from literally a couple of people to close to 100 now here in Australia. We have some engineering folks here that are working on products for 2026 and beyond. And so when you get your products in the future, some of that componentry or some of that development work has been done right here in our own backyard, which is just fantastic. I think you mentioned it, Brad, the partnership with HP and AMD has been very long and distinguished. We've had a lot of firsts together. HP, as you've seen, are very passionate about their technology, and I like to say we are passionate about our technology as well. So it's a fantastic partnership, and we're very excited about bringing these new products to market with HP and the differentiation rather that they bring. And if you've been following our partnership with HP, if you look back just 18 months ago, the Workstation specifically category, we didn't have AMD solutions in that space. And over the last 18 months now, we've grown that out to 5 different platforms after today's announcements. We look forward to continuing to grow that, but it's exciting to see HP having so much confidence in the product that we're bringing to market, that they're developing and growing their product range and ensuring that the customers have a fantastic choice in solutions across that workstation space. So onto the silicon. Lots of exciting things here, and thank you, Aman, you touched on a number of these, but this is custom silicon. So this is differentiated from the other products that you see in the marketplace today. We're bringing our latest Zen 5 core, the same technology, the same core architecture that's leading in the data center, where we're winning and accelerating very, very quickly. It's the same technology you're going to find in this product, the same as our desktop, where we're leading in gaming. So up to 16 cores, 32 threads, and importantly, AVX 512 support, right, which also helps with all those AI workloads. Up to 40 compute units, so a very powerful graphics engine, and we'll see what that delivers from a performance standpoint shortly. And also AI accelerators in the GPU, as well as being paired with a 50 TOPS NPU as well. And we'll talk a little bit about what those differences are and how they complement each other as we go through. And of course, not just the notebook, we also have the Z2 Mini as well. Again, great performance, and we're excited to be bringing that to market as well. There is a range of products. There's 4 different products that's in the overall roadmap, ranging from 6 cores up to 16 cores. But common across the range is the ability to scale up the performance, so 55 up to 120 watts. 50 TOPS NPU across the complete range is consistent. And of course, that unified memory, which really sets us apart. And Aman touched on this as well. So instead of a traditional setup where you've got a GPU and a CPU separate, and there's a PCI bus between the two, and they're shared various memory, which means you've got to take it out of the CPU memory, put it into GPU and back and forth. This creates a unified structure and allows us to do some very unique things. And this is what's driving a lot of the performance that we'll talk about shortly and what differentiates us from a lot of the competition in the market today. Mum touched on security. Security is at the core of what we do. And from when we're designing our security solutions, we work not just closely with HP, but also with Microsoft. And so how we integrate with HP's Wolf security solutions, how we integrate with a number of Microsoft solutions as well, is really, again, when we start with that clean sheet of paper, we work across the ecosystem to ensure a great solution. One of the key things I'll point out here though is we do, on our Pro products, we do have memory encryption, which gives another level of security against cold boot attacks and things like that. So there is an added level of security that we provide as well. So from outside of just security, we've got our manageability, so things like autopilot, we support natively, and then all the things that business are looking for, so longevity in the products, ISV certification that we work with HP on as well, and a number of other things. So again, it's a complete solution for our commercial customers. All right, speeds and feeds, the fun stuff, lots of graphs. What I will say though, and I'll say this in my closing as well, ultimately, it's in the experience of the product. And so if I was presenting, as I will this afternoon, to partners and customers again, we're doing this again this afternoon, same thing. Get hands-on. We've got a lot of demos here at the back of the room. I can put up many, many different charts, but ultimately the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So please do take some time to experience the products here. But again, it's very exciting. We do see these solutions providing differentiated offerings. So here we're looking at sort of media and entertainment workloads. So we're looking at V-Ray and Cinebench, along with a number of Adobe After Effects Adobe After Effects products using the Puget benchmark. I'll get it out in a second. So you can see there's significant performance uplift, and there we're comparing the Max Pro 395, so the 16-core 40 compute unit product, to a solution that's using a discrete GPU, which is a much higher TDP. And again, another example of what we can do with that GPU when we optimize workloads specifically to offload to that GPU. So this is an example looking at Blender and the Cycles rendering engine. And so traditionally that's been rendered on the CPU cores. As we work with them to offload to the GPU, we're seeing an 82% uplift in performance. And that also frees up the CPU to go and do other tasks. So again, that optimization, that partnership with the ISVs and bringing the right solution to the hardware. So here we're looking at purely a sort of a CPU to CPU comparison, looking around Chromium and Unreal Engine. And so again, you see that significant uplift in performance. And again, as we get to the back end of the presentation, we'll talk about what some of those tangible benefits is from a productivity standpoint. LLMs, again, very topical, and I think Amanda, you touched on this as well. Because of the size of the memory, we can get up to 96 gigabyte of unified memory for the GPU. It allows us to run very large language models natively and gives a significant performance advantage. So this is running the 70 billion Llama 3 model, running it in memory natively, and it gives a significant performance advantage over our competitors. So from an AI standpoint, as I mentioned, 50 TOPS across the range. Also, each compute unit has 2 AI accelerators on the GPU as well. So it's about creating that ecosystem of solution. Why is that important? So if we think about some of the software that's out there today for image generation, so there's a company called Amuse or software called Amuse. Obviously you need the CPU to run the brains behind the project. The GPU actually does the image generation. We use the AI engine in the GPU to generate the image. Then we offload to the NPU to do the upscaling to 4K. So it's about how do we create the most efficient use of the technology to give that great customer experience. But it's about how all those parts work together in harmony to, again, deliver a great customer experience. And again, across the board, we're working with a number of ISVs. Here's just some. There's over 150 different ISVs that we're working with to optimize around our AI solutions. So again, broadly looking, whether it's using solutions, comparing us to solutions with a traditional CPU and a GPU, or whether it's just CPU to CPU, again, we see a very significant performance advantage. So that's a whole bunch of charts. What does that mean in the real world? What does that mean for customers that are using the products in a work environment and a productivity environment? So in this example, we're looking at a designer that's working with SolidWorks and KeyShot for rendering. And we've calculated over an hour, they're going to have 24 minutes of savings in improved productivity by using the Max Pro solution. Changing that across to Revit, using V-Ray, we're looking at about a 26-minute improvement in productivity per hour. And then looking at a professional content creator, so this is the Adobe Cloud Suite, with products such as Redshift, we're seeing around a 21-minute productivity improvement per hour. So when we combine all that together with a developer, a software developer that's using multiple software packages, they're using AI, we believe that this solution can deliver almost a 40-minute saving in time, and time is money, and so this is a great productivity gain to our customers. So a very broad solution, very exciting, lots of innovative things there, but most importantly, as I said in the opening, we want you to try it, we want you to test it, we want you to experience it, and so please do take the time to get down the back of the room here after we finish the formalities, spend some time with the product, experience that performance, and how that will change the productivity and performance of our customers. So with that, thank you HP, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Pete, and a big happy 25th birthday to AMD Australia. You do not look a day over 20, so well done. That was fantastic. Some really great insights there, and I think what was really interesting was the mention of the, wrote down the stats with this erasable pen, the 39-minute saving per hour in productivity, which is, in the grand scheme of things, that is a huge amount of time that you can use to do plenty of other things, such as use the F1 simulator. I think I need to go to those at home because honestly, I think my arms are still like shaking because it was so intense. It was a really good workout. I think I might just sack the gym and get one of those. So now we are moving on to our fireside chat. So I'm going to bring to the stage the guests that I have. So first up, I'm going to call back Aman. Can't get enough of Aman. I'm going to call you now Aman Slender Chassis Sanger. I feel like that could be your new nickname. So Aman, obviously, as you can probably tell, he is the resident tech whiz for today's session and had some really interesting insights into the actual technicalities. I think one interesting thing that you said when we were prepping for this talk was around the fact that we probably have been using AI for a lot longer than we actually realised, which I thought was actually quite interesting, because when I was talking about when I got into AI, I was thinking ChatGPT when I used it, started using it a couple of years ago, but actually we've been using it probably without even realising it for a really long time. So really interesting history into the technology. Joining Aman will be Annie Liao, who is the founder of Build Club, which is an AI learning platform dedicated to making artificial intelligence education accessible to all. And I just wanted to say a special shout out to Annie because I don't want to embarrass you, Annie, but at just 23 years of age, she raised $1.8 million to grow Build Club into one of the world's largest AI builder communities, which is honestly, it's so hard to raise money, no matter who you are. But as some of you might know, around 2 to 3% of global funding goes to women. So the fact that Annie managed to raise money as a female and at the age of 23 is honestly incredible. I think back to when I was 23, which was a long time ago. I was definitely not raising millions of dollars to build AI. I was definitely a bit more of a mess, but massive. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Okay, but massive congratulations, Annie. That's got the future of AI right here. So very excited to have a chat. And then I'd love to bring up Melissa Collison. So Melissa is the Director of Interior Design at Melissa Collison Design. So Melissa gets to travel the world internationally with her team to research current trends and themes within the interior design industry. After this, I'll definitely be applying for a job at your company, so we can travel the world together. But when we were prepping for this talk, Melissa was telling us that she actually she's obviously been in the space for a very long time and has been utilising technology for a long time, but is quite new to the AI space. And so we thought it'd be really great for all of you to get to hear some real world use cases of people using AI in their daily lives, but from different stages of the AI journey. So looking forward to having a chat with all of you today. Yay! So to kick things off, I should probably sit down. Down here. Okay. I'm going to fall off my chair. I swear it's the shaky legs from the Formula One. Okay, so to kick things off, I'm going to start the conversation around the role of AI in shaping the future of work. Now, AI really excites me, not only because it does literally all of my writing for me, which is amazing, but it's really shaping the way that we work, the way that we think, and the way that we collaborate. So, Melissa, I'm going to throw this first question to you. I think one of the more interesting discussions that I've heard around AI is how humans can still have input into the output, because I know that a lot of people are a bit worried about humans getting replaced by AI. And if you've watched any of the Terminator series, it's definitely something that I know I was worried about when I first started hearing about AI. But I'd love to know a little bit more about how, as the whole AI scene evolves and technology evolves, how can we make sure that, there is that balance between the use of technology but also human creativity?
I think the thing as a creative person, as an interior designer, one of the things that is most important to us is our ideas. So we're not doing data entry, we're not doing back office stuff. We all think we're fantastic, we're creating ideas, we're going to create the next best thing. So for us, there's a fear that for many of us, there's a fear that we'll become obsolete. But in our business, and for us, our clients really want that fast, immersive experience. So we design a lot of restaurants, we're designing in the Middle East, in Asia, USA. So our clients now coming to us and saying, okay, this looks fantastic, but I want to live it, feel it, smell it, lick it, taste it, now, before someone puts a hammer, on the floor. So I think I'm not scared of it. I think it's really exciting for us that we can create that experience. And I think that as a creative, we're still the driver of that. And I think, like the simulator with the Ferrari, you're driving it, but if you're not a good driver, I've driven one of those at the Ferrari thing and screamed the house down. It's so embarrassing. I didn't even know I was doing it until my colleague said, "Did you even scream the house?" But I crashed. So I think that is how we'll use it. The other way we'll use AI and technology in our business is back office stuff. So it can free me up to not worry about bookkeeping. It can free me up to do some of the mundane jobs like scheduling. My staff always get me to do the scheduling because I'm a dinosaur and I'm good at it. But I don't want to do the scheduling. So that's other ways you can do it while still being creative.
Fantastic. And I think that there is that whole discussion around human in the loop. So AI still needs humans somewhere within the loop to prompt it, to brief it, to improve it, and to shape it. So I still feel like we are still relevant. And if not, we've still got Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's like a good little backup plan. And thanks, Melissa. I love the whole concept where you're talking about the fact that people can now almost like do walkthroughs of spaces before they've even, like you said, the first hammer's even gone down. I think that's super powerful. And I was talking to Michael, I think somewhere in the room, about the whole concept of VR and how you can just put a headset on and you can just literally walk around a room that you're not even in, which I think is incredible. So,
but can I just add, sorry, our client, what we design being restaurants is one of the last digital frontiers. So we're designing things where people want that interaction. They want to go out, they want to be with their friends, they want to laugh, they want to drink, dance, whatever it is they want to do. But our clients are expecting from us to have that full experience before we build it. So it's an oxymoron. That's why I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think that, it sounds like you've really utilised the technology to help elevate and give, I guess, a new offering to your clients, but is really powerful. So Annie, I'm going to move on to you. So in terms of AI, I definitely hear that one of the biggest misconceptions and the biggest fears around AI adoption is that people will feel like their jobs are going to get replaced by AI, and I think we have to really shift that narrative. And I would love your advice on how we get people to see AI not as a threat, but as an enabler.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the workforce is definitely changing very quickly with AI. So with Build Club, for context, we help workforces upskill in AI. So I see a lot of like strategy on how different companies are addressing it. And I think there's probably almost like a two-pronged approach. There's for business leaders, like the top-down like strategy setting, like embedding AI in like product roadmaps and things like that. And then there's also like the bottoms-up, like AI literacy, upskilling for employees. We need to put things in like more context. For example, there was a company called Eucalyptus, which in Australia they scale up. We ran a hackathon for, and their whole mandate was with the hackathon was they had renewed their whole product strategy to have AI in it, and they wanted all these little AI proof of concepts built. And that really motivated all of the employees to like jumpstart the AI journey. And off the back of that, the employees are upskilling in like the different AI tools. And then even like without maybe like top-down leadership guidance, also from the bottoms up, there's a lot of employees we're seeing just like experimenting with ChatGPT on the side. There was a conference I was at yesterday with Lendy, who's one of our pilot customers, and like one of their mortgage brokers was like on the stage talking about her new friend called Chatty, who was like almost like her executive assistant she had built by herself. Without any guidance, and now she's like a case study for other brokers that want to use AI in their workflows.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. I think you've tapped into such a good space, because I think about traditional education. When I went to uni, like the course that I did, I think, you know, the concepts of, say, accounting principles have been around for such a long time, but the traditional education systems can't keep up with the changing in technology. Like there's new programs literally coming out every day, so something like Build Club is going to be fantastic for people in the workforce to make sure that their skills are up to date. And you know, the technology is changing at such a rapid rate. You need really education platforms that are at the cutting edge, otherwise the world is going to, you know, fall behind. So I'm going to throw to Slender Chassis. It's like a hard name, Aman. So obviously your area of expertise is around the actual technology and the hardware. So you know, I think the interesting thing is we're going to need to see that continuously evolve, because the technology is evolving at such a rapid rate. So what is next for AI power computing, and what feature are you most, outside of the Slender Chassis, what are you most excited about the new ZBook Ultra?
Yeah, there's one interesting statistic that I came across recently. Typically, historically, we would use around about 50% of our CPU for doing what we do. With Moore's law, processor power is gaining year after year. Every 18 months it doubles and all that kind of stuff, and you would expect that to go down. Actually, it's gone up. It's 70% now. What it shows us that we are now engaging in workflows and new experiences that are actually tapping more into the processing power of the devices rather than less. And that's what is the most trickiest part for us to future-proof our devices and our workflows and how they operate. And I think I mentioned to you, typically the way we look at how AI impacts our workflows is primarily in three buckets. Number one, getting rid of the mundane, right? There is some boring fundamental stuff like scheduling and all that kind of stuff. For me, it's filing expenses. You just need to get it done, but I really wish and hope somebody can take it away from me. There are loads of it, meeting notes, stuff like that, and which is happening right now today. That's number one bucket. Number two is doing what we do today, but can you do it faster? Can we supercharge it? As a creative, you will relate to that, the writer's block that you get and getting inspiration out of there. As long as you retain agency, the mechanism doesn't matter, as long as you are in control. So there's going to be a lot of that happening. And the third is doing stuff that you never thought that was possible. And that's the hardest bucket to quantify. What is that new world? What is that new breakthrough that we can talk about? And there are a lot of customers who are doing that as of now today. We see that in the healthcare industry, for example, where what would take years for something to emerge, a symptom to emerge, we now have created AI models to be able to detect that years before that and automatically flag that up like, it scans through 500,000 long images and says, you know what, I know you're not seeing anything in there, but I think there is an 85% chance of some kind of cancerous tissue to emerge from there. Let's keep an eye on that. So don't book your next appointment after 6 months, come and see me in 2 months' time. That's groundbreaking. That changes lives, literally. And so that's the kind of stuff that we're most excited about, and all of that is built upon this new innovative tech that's coming out, and we're just at the very cusp of it right now.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that excites me most about AI. I feel like we're just at the beginning of something that is truly going to be life-changing for all of us. And and I think about the next generation that's coming up. I think it's like Generation Alpha. Like, they're AI native, so they won't even know a world without AI. And I think for us, it's been interesting because we've obviously seen the dawn of social media and the internet, and now it's like this transformative technology. So it's exciting to be, alongside a company like HP who are actually leading that charge, which is great. So I'm going to shift the conversation into the role of AI in creativity and productivity. So I'm guessing most of you might be using something like a ChatGPT or a Claude or something to do copywriting or analysis. It is honestly game-changing, and I think it's really exciting to see how that technology shift has really given us more time in our day. Melissa, I'm going to throw it to you because I know that you have obviously seen a lot of changes and gone probably from maybe sketching on paper to now doing things online. Obviously that brings that shift, I guess, from paper in that more traditional format to digital brings amazing benefits, but I'm guessing it also brings some challenges. So we'd just love to hear, like maybe one benefit and one challenge that it's brought.
Lisa, are you saying no?
No.
Well, it's interesting.
Experience.
Well, actually, I've probably had my business longer than some of you have been alive. But when we first started our business, just to talk about that, is a notebook or a notepad or whatever it was a piece of paper and a pen. And a laptop was a dance. But, it's changed now so that clients would come in with a scrapbook, it's now Pinterest. We'd draw on a board, and if someone was in a bad mood, they'd be slapping that ruler down on the board and doing all these ones. So I've seen a full change. So from the internet to mobile phones, to computers, to software, and now we are able to do things really quickly. We are able to create experiences for clients before we build them. And we're not changing the world like some people are with medicine, etc. But one of the things is with this speed that as a business owner, I really need to ask myself, and one of the speakers before me talked about being able to go down to site and press a button and show the client a new idea. How do we monetize that? So if I can do that so quickly, how do I get the fees if I'm able to say to the client, hey, look, I can vomit up 20 ideas in 5 minutes, which one do you want? What's that, $500? I won't be able to buy Gucci sneakers with $500. So I think that as a business owner, that's I think it's fantastic, the technology and the ability to do it, but I need one of you to tell me what's the value of that. And if I can keep ahead of my peers in my industry and let them fly kite while we're in the rocket, how do I monetize that before they catch up? So I think that's something I need to know,
Yeah, fantastic. I think that's an interesting challenge because usually a lot of service-based companies will charge based on time spent, but now if that's significantly reduced, how do you change your, charging model based on that?
Yeah.
So, really interesting point. Annie, this one is for you. So I think the term AI was previously thought of as maybe like an enterprise term, and only enterprise had access to it, but more and more small businesses are being able to use the technology thanks to the fact that the UX UI is very simple, which is exciting. So we'd love to see the biggest shift that you've seen across the AI adoption, across industries, but also would love to understand what skills do you think the everyday person needs to actually learn in order to stay relevant and competitive?
Probably the biggest shift, and also why Google was founded, is because generative AI is so exciting. It unlocks all this new capability for businesses. Even when we started Build Club, we kept it as a community just for engineers in the beginning, so technical people. because we thought that engineers were the people best positioned to benefit from AI because they could code and probably understand like what's happening. But one of the most exciting unlocks from AI is now that anyone can access it and use it. I think there's a saying out there where like English will be one of the new programming languages. And what we've seen through Build Club 2 is that like subject matter experts, so like SMBs, like in businesses who know processes really well, actually get the most ROI from knowing how to use AI effectively because they understand like the business process, so know like what to automate or like what workflow to actually build. So I think it's really unlocked a lot of capabilities, basically in every single industry across every role for those that like feel empowered by AI tools.
It's very interesting what you said about English being like a new coding language. I think it was the CEO of Anthropic, the company that's founded Claude. I think he said by the end of this year, 90% of the code written will be done using AI. And I think they're calling that term vibe coding, which is honestly incredible when you think about it. So I'm just waiting for AI to be able to do my chores. That will be like when I feel like it's super useful. So I'm just going to finish up with you. So we've spoken a little bit about how the actual hardware is really important when we're thinking about AI, and if you're using it for high performance work, you obviously need high performance tools. How does the new ZBook unlock new possibilities for designers, engineers, and businesses?
Sure, and to your point earlier with regards to the amount of code written by AI, right now that number is already more than 50% on GitHub. So it's already happening as we speak. I don't know if you guys have heard about the term shadow AI. Brad's comment around 73% of the people out there believe fundamentally AI will improve productivity. It's happening. These 73% and much more are bringing in their chat GPTs and llamas into the workforce. It's a trend that we need to embrace with devices like the ZBook Plus that allow for LLMs to run onto your devices, keeping it secure and private. Which have enough tops, enough grunt under the hood to be able to deliver that. Because if you aren't going to do that, that particular individual in your organization who knows that they can shave off, like to Pete's point, around 39 minutes of that hour, they're going to embrace that and they're going to do that and they're going to do it at their own terms. So it's about enabling the workforce with the tools that allow them to get the absolute best out of them. And that's just about speed. But also imagine the level of creativity that you unleash where they can do truly meaningful work. And again, going back to the future of work scenario, about that's what most of us are looking for, that when we are sitting down and adding in those hours at work, they are truly making an impact and you're developing mastery over some subject matter expertise that you love, rather than having subject matter expertise about filing claims or expenses or taking minutes of a meeting, right? So that's what it does. So that's what we're really excited about. I think the other part is also to ensure that we need to recognize that AI doesn't exist in a silo. It interacts and interfaces with the world that we live in, and ensuring that all our tech is optimized to take full advantage of that. The entire portfolio needs to work together. And then fundamentally, we as an organization, as a society, need to rethink about workflows, about what are those new workflows that we need to build that were built in the old world. My example with regards to the conveyor belt of those factories, start from A to B to C and D. Perhaps it's a different way of doing that with AI. Let's not silo ourselves and anchor ourselves to that old way of working and be able to relook and rethink and re-question that. I always say that in a world where answers are dime a dozen, questions are the ones that come at a premium. And that's why we're seeing industries like prompt engineering, where a ChatGPT can answer almost every question that you throw at it. The key is, do you have the right questions? And that's what we need to ask.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think when I talk to people who are new to AI, they say, oh no, the technology's not great, but then they don't realize they're not asking the AI the right questions. So I think that's a really great point. And I love what you said about AI giving you more time to do what you love. I think that's really a nice way to sort of wrap things up. And actually, I did write down, Brad, what you mentioned about Charles Leclerc. And I promise I'm not just saying this because I'm trying to get free tickets to the Grand Prix next year, but if you want to send them my way, I'm more than happy to. But to summarise, I guess, the theme of the morning, obviously we're here to celebrate the incredible new ZBook Ultra, but I feel like that quote was such a beautiful quote, because really technology empowers you to do what you love, and I think that's something that, you know, when I think about today's session, like that's the thing that I really want to take away, because, you know, we're all here because we're obviously all passionate about technology, we're interested in the future, and I feel like, you know, with technology like what HP has provided us with today, it's so exciting because we're going to be able to do things that were never even before possible, and, you know, in years to come, like it's just going to be exciting to see where that technology leads us. So I just wanted to thank you all for making the time to attend today. We are going to have a lunch break now, so make sure that you go and check out the Formula One simulator. I want to see all of you racing around the track, not driving into a fence like me. But also, as Pete mentioned before, get your hands dirty, so make sure you go check out the technology, because that's the best way to see it in action. And also, grab some canapes. There's a bar over there, so there's no excuse not to have fun. Just don't drink and drive. But thank you everyone for making the time to come along this morning, and we hope you had a great morning.